it's David here, and it's currently day 284. I hope you guys had a good day, and you're doing better than yesterday. But the time is currently 5:36. Now, I didn't really want to get up today, like really any other mornings. I always want to sleep in, but I have to get up in the mornings. Why? Because during the mornings is when nobody's up, is when nobody can disturb you. So in the mornings, you're gonna have your peace and quiet. And really, sometimes, if you guys can get up in the mornings and just spend like an hour to yourself, you're gonna have a very peaceful day to come. So therefore, I'm gonna get up now and just spend the mornings to myself and use this time to my advantage and get ahead of my competition. So, see you guys. Guys, I have to admit, this afternoon, when I came back from the visit to my professor, I made a great blunder. I made a great blunder in the fact that I spent my afternoon around 3 hours sitting on the couch, just eating food and just watching or two movies for that matter. So I was pretty much like a zombie. I wanted to avoid my responsibilities. I wanted to avoid my purpose, and I did so by distracting myself. I did so by avoiding my pain to chase an instant gratification, to chase a pleasure that I thought and we think that it would solve the problem. But by doing so, it didn't solve it. By doing so, it made me feel more worse than if I hadn't distracted myself, if I had just faced the pain and the reality that to get better in life, there's no avoidance, there's no going around the bush, and there's no other shortcut. But the roadmap is right in front of you. We know what it is, and it is to do the thing we are afraid of, do the thing that causes us pain, and don't procrastinate, because eventually, if you want to get better, you have to face it no matter what. There's no other way. And by distracting yourself, like I have did today, this afternoon, I am only avoiding the inevitable. I am only wasting my time to taste success. I am only wasting my time to achieve the success and life I want in life. So yes, I have to admit, I made a great blunder this afternoon because of my curiosity. Because of my curiosity and my lack of effort to learn from my past mistakes. I thought that I have been consistent enough for the past few weeks so that I am deserving to reward myself. And yes, that may be right, but I picked the reward and I picked the wrong reward. Instead of valuing good dopamine rewards, like embracing nature, embracing your family, just taking care of yourself, I decided to get this reward from a distraction. A distraction that I deeply resent. A distraction I deeply condemn because it is such a distraction that made me weak, that controlled me, that held my emotions, and that blocked my potential for so long. And I'm not saying watching a movie, watching TV is bad for everybody, but it is for me. And it is for me because I have built my bad experiences on it. I know by doing so, it is what kept me as a loser for such a long time. I know by doing so, it is what stopped me from seeing my potential for such a long time. And I have to say, guys, I did not for one bit enjoy the distraction because as soon as the movie ends, as soon as the rolling credits starts rolling, you are faced with your reality. You are faced with your presence. So yes, the first few hours may feel good. And just like taking drugs, when you're high, life is great. But after you calm down, you are faced with more problems than you would have if you haven't taken the drug. You are faced with more problems and more responsibilities than if you just stick with your goals, stick with your intentions, and stick true to facing your fears. Because now, I am faced with the reality. I have to do the work. I have to improve on coding, and I have to do so to get better at life. But what is also the circumstance now is that I have wasted 3 hours of my time. And I know you guys may be saying that you shouldn't beat yourself so down for it or that you can learn from your mistakes. And yes, you make a mistake and you're bound to learn. But sometimes when you make so much of the same mistake, then perhaps you are not learning. Then perhaps you should ask yourself, why are you keep making the same mistakes? And I have to ask myself the same question yet. Because why is it that every time I make the same mistake, I somehow come back to it? I somehow come back to it and remake it again, just wasting a little bit more of my time and a great deal of my mental energy facing the same challenge where if I did just follow through with the lesson the first time, then I wouldn't be here crying, sobbing, and blaming about the fault I had made. But I simply want to say this because I know that a lot of us face the same challenge. A lot of us feel like that we have done good in life, therefore we should reward ourselves. Therefore, we are okay to be distracted, to allow distractions to come back into your life. But sometimes we also have to understand that just because we are doing good in life at the moment doesn't mean we have to be complacent now and deserve a reward. Because the longer you can hold off this reward, this instant pleasure, then the bigger payoff you're going to get. The longer you can stay focused and consistent while keeping your momentum flowing, then the bigger reward then you'll get. Then you may just reach a goal sooner. But by keep on having these consistent weeks and having these poor weekends, then you're never going to be consistent enough to reach the highest potential you want in life. And I know you guys want it. And I know we all want to be the best we can, but distractions just always come at us inevitably. And I have allowed distractions to come to me in the mask, the disguise of reward. I have so many times allowed these rewards, so called, to fool me once and once again. And I can say that it is definitely not joyous to be fooled by yourself, to tell yourself that you are deserving of this when you know it is wrong deeply. But what I can also say is that I cannot sit here and just cry about it. Because I know if by doing so, by thinking that I don't have the abilities to stay competent and consistent, then I'll go back and do the distraction again. Then I'll go back and just numb myself more to the degree where I don't come back from the rabbit hole. So I am proud that I came back today to recollect my thoughts after spending 3 hours in hell. It definitely wasn't great. It definitely never is great, as once it's over, you are faced with your reality. But sometimes a lot of us keep on numbing ourselves after the first movie ends. A lot of us keep numbing ourselves after the first shot of vodka. A lot of us keep numbing ourselves after the first mistake we make, thinking that this is the way, thinking that we don't have any other choice because facing our fears is too hard. And this is why I don't get also, because quite frankly, I know that by doing the things I hate, by doing the things that has initial pain, I will end up enjoying it if I sit through it long enough. But somehow, our initial thoughts, that thought in the back of our head to enjoy pleasure in the moment, will always be there. So what does this mean? Is that we maybe cannot never turn this thought off, that we can't just turn our emotions off, and that sometimes we do have to require will to sit through the initial intrusive thoughts of ruining our life for some instant chase of gratification. But we also know that to face your fears and to face your pains is the only way to get better. And if you can just do that for long enough, then that pain, that fear will become your passion. And once that becomes a habit, life will get easier. Then you'll break through from your old routines. And I'm not saying that I hate what I do. I'm not saying I hate making videos. I'm not saying I hate to code. And I'm not saying I hate to improve myself. And certainly, I'm not saying it's a chore. All I am saying is even though I enjoy it, despite I love chasing my passion, we will always prioritize pleasure above anything else if we don't have the will to carry through with doing the hard things. And this is why there's a minority of people who can become successful, and the majority of us live a life of just bare mediocrity. Because we always seek pleasure above anything else. And perhaps this is just biology, and perhaps this is biology. But there's a way to biohack this. There's a way to get around this. And by doing so is to first eliminate the distractions you have that will trigger your primal desires to chase this gratification. And after some initial self-reflection, I clearly understood why it is that I came back home tonight to watch a movie. It is because 2 days prior, I opened the remote subconsciously to see what shows are on Netflix. And by doing so, I may have not followed through on that day, but what I did have done is I had planted this unconscious seed in the back of my head telling me that, David, there's this amazing show on Netflix that maybe you should watch as in a reward when you do some work, when you stay consistent for long enough. And this thought, because I had planted the seed in the back of my subconscious mind, I have never managed to let it go. Therefore, today, I had acted on my desires because I simply cannot be avoiding it for long enough. After I had drained myself from mental willpower, when fatigue has kicked in, when I have numbed myself with food, then what happens? I allow my primal desires to get hold of me. I allow the chase of pleasure to control me. And by doing so, I made the mistake, the blunder, to sit on my sofa for 3 hours to watch 2 movies consecutively. And saying that out loud right now, it just sounds totally shameful. It sounds totally wrong and totally shameful. But in the moment when we were doing it, in the moment when we are self-sabotaging, it doesn't sound so bad. Because we always somehow manage to tell us this bullshit that we will get better after we do it. That if we take this weekend off to go clubbing, to go partying, then we will come back stronger to face our work, to face our purpose. That if we just do it tomorrow because tonight's too late, then we will just do it better. That if we don't act today, I will act tomorrow. When that simply isn't the truth. Whenever you tell yourself this, whenever you are procrastinating, this should be a sign for you to do the things that you are trying to avoid. Because if you don't, then you are going to face yourself in this constant loop of distraction, of feeding yourself with this false illusion of gratification and contentment. And by doing so, you're only going to dig yourself a deeper hole that may require you more willpower to climb out eventually. That will require you more courage to stand up and say, I want to make a change. And I'm only fortunate enough today to come back from this adversity because I know for a fact that I did not enjoy this sense of pleasure. That I have built up this self-awareness over 3 years to be present and understand that I have something better to do. And most importantly, it's because I know that I actually love what I do. And that happened due to my consistency to stay consistent at this new habit. Of this new habit to learn how to code, of this new habit to build a project that will eventually realize my vision to the world. But this didn't happen if I didn't sustain from these distractions. This could never have happened if I was still smoking pot, snorting lines, and doing pills every single day. None of this would happen. You guys would not know me on YouTube if this doesn't happen. And this only happened is because I choose to control my mind and I made that decision with my courage to say I am done with this shit. I am done with the drugs. I am done with the movies. I am done with YouTube. I am done with all this BS about life that is sucking all my energy and time away. And I do believe that for someone to crawl out of their comfort zone, for someone to realize their potential, they have to go through life with the same mentality and say, I am done with this. I am done. I am going to focus on what makes me better every single day, and I'm going to do the things right now. Not tomorrow, not tonight, not New Year's Eve, and not Christmas Eve. I am going to do it today, right now. Even if it's 10 o'clock, I'm doing it now. And by doing so, you sign yourself this mutual contract that you are ready to take responsibility, that you're ready to take control of your life. And once that happens, failure is going to be happening to you. Failure is guaranteed. Failure is inevitable. I'm not saying if you make the change today that everything, all your pains will go away. Certainly, you'll have more pain, but the pain is great. And why is so? Because you can make a change. You can get better at life for once, and that the pain will eventually turn into a passion. That passion will form your purpose, and when that happens, you will live a fulfilling life. Despite you being discouraged, despite you facing obstacles, you will find the way. And you are the way. You have to lead yourself, and by doing so, can you then only help the people around you. But understand that if you don't help yourself today, then it will be an eternity until you come back to have this opportunity to face your truth again. And I say this not because you have to wait so long. It's because we are constantly bombarded with the distraction that is uncertain when you have the chance to admit your faults, to admit your insignificance, and to admit that you have to change. But just understand, we all have an opportunity. Every single second, we have the chance to change. So don't think it's too late. Just think that you can do it and have the courage to stand for yourself, to stand what you know is right, and to stand for what you're afraid of. Because by only doing so, can you tap into your latent potential? Because only by doing so, by controlling the mind, can you then really deserve what the world will give to you eventually. But if you don't, if you are and will be distracted by the distractions, then you will stay weak. Then you will stay numb. Then you will be a zombie until somebody else comes to your aid. And that, my friends, is going to be never. Because nobody will come to your aid. Nobody will lend your hand because nobody in this world can help you except you. So grab your own hand and lift yourself up because only by doing so can you help yourself. That being said, that is exactly what I am here to do now, and I only wish I had made a clip earlier today. And perhaps if I did so, then I wouldn't have sit through the 3 hours of a waste of time. But guess what? What is done, and I have grown stronger this time. I have realized what had caused it, and by doing so, yes, I may make this mistake again next time, but eventually, if you make so much mistakes from different possibilities, then eventually you'll have all the answer to any single cause of your mistake, that you will have a solution to counterbalance all of it. So I may make another mistake. But I know if we stay vigilant, if we stay present, and if we reflect enough, then eventually we will have full control of our mind. Even if we have no willpower, even if we are fatigued as heck, once we understand ourselves, then nothing is impossible. So take control of your mind, my friend, and embark on this journey of change. Because by doing so, you will realize that the world is not boring. The world is not boring and repetitive, but rather it will reward the people who choose to seek discomfort. I'll see you guys in a bit. So guys, the time is currently about 7:30. And before I wrap it up for tonight, I just want to say that yes, I managed to bounce back. Yes, I managed to do 2 hours of work. I know it's not a lot, but at least I did something. I did something. I used the rest of the time I could have when I was back to focus. When I came back from picking up my sister from school, I had like a few minutes when I was a bit distracted, a bit still trying to shift back into the work mode, shift back into the productive state. And yes, there was still a little bit of hiccups, but eventually I managed to convert over into focus. I managed to convert over into the mindset of I need to get this shit done. Now, this obviously is the cause of procrastination. When you procrastinate, you leave the important thing, you leave the thing you're afraid of towards the end of the day. Now, I know deeply that this was going to happen, that I had to do the work eventually, because I understand that if I don't do the work, then I only have more of it. I'll have more stress, I'll have more worry, even though there's no deadline, which is why I set myself my own deadline. But procrastination definitely really is a real thing. And if you don't constantly stay focused, if you don't constantly keep yourself in check, then you're going to let your natural primal urges win over. And that is to prioritize pleasure, prioritize your greed, prioritize any superficial gain at the moment that goes against your principles and values. So going against biology, going against human nature means to follow principles, set in stone principles that is going to make you become better than yesterday. And that is to go by your own values also. And this is individualized. We all have different values, but if you prioritize good, positive values, then you're going to break free from what seems like a monogamous, just unbreakable bad habits. But everything is possible if you just keep your mind to it. If you keep your mind to it and really take back control of your mind. And doing so isn't easy, but hey, if I can spend my whole mornings in absolute failure, make so much mistakes, and yet go back to back from watching movie to another, and if I can come back from this procrastination, then I do strongly believe all of us can do the same. And you may think, and you may make the excuse that, oh, you've been consistent for a while, so having this slip up, having this hiccup doesn't affect you too much because you can just, come back from being focused. Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter how much you stay distracted. It doesn't matter how many movies you watch. It only takes a commitment today to make that change. It only requires you to use the same amount of willpower to make that change. So it doesn't matter if you've been binge watching TikTok or YouTube shorts for like a year compared to someone like me or someone like your neighbor who has been doing their work consistently and who barely distract himself. If you lose focus, it will take you the same amount of willpower to regain that focus. So please, let's not use our excuse of saying that we have been in defeat for so long and that we don't have the will to get back because somebody else has clearly built the habits, the discipline to stay productive. But the thing is, once we get sidetracked, which will happen, and it is inevitable to all of us, it only takes the same amount of willpower to bring our focus back. And this is what I love about the world, guys. It doesn't punish those who wants to try to change. It will reward those who want to try to change by not punishing them, by giving them a harder feat to overcome. Because all we have to do is to make the commitment to change, and all we have to use is the same amount of willpower compared to someone, whether it's competent or not. So let's start taking control back of our mind. Let's not cap ourselves. Let's not set this limit upon ourselves because we think we are not capable of doing the things we want to do in life. Because remember, the only person that can limit your potential is yourself. Not the world, not your family, and certainly not your friends. You are the one who has control over himself, his mind, his body, his spirit, and soul. So take responsibility and live up to what you are deserved from this world. That being said, I hope you guys had learned something from this, as certainly I have learned a lot from today. And I know that no longer will I make the same mistake, because every single time I make the same mistake, I know that I don't enjoy it, and I know I'm simply just wasting my time and wasting my own time to shine, to breathe success, to touch success. So no longer will I make this mistake, and I know I said that I might make this mistake, and this simply is just bad mentality. Because if you say to yourself you're going to make that same mistake, then you're bound to make the same mistake. And that perhaps is another blunder I had made today after my self-reflection. I shouldn't say I might make that mistake. I should say confidently and say I won't make this mistake, because this communicates to my subconscious mind that this is not acceptable, that this is not tolerable in my standards based on my values and principles. And it sure is not acceptable for me. So, that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to be an amazing day simply because I'm going to take control of my mind to the fullest of my capabilities. I'll see you guys then.